Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name's Jenny and this is Arnold the Praying Penguin. And in today's video, the penguins are going to be choosing our August TBR. If the lighting is terrible in this video, I'm really sorry, but it is way too hot to put on my big lights today. We will both just melt into a sticky penguin and human puddle on the floor, and nobody wants that, because we need the penguins to choose our TBR. If you're not familiar with Penguins Choose My TBR, this is a game that we play every single month to choose the books that we will be reading that month. But first, we need to look back at the books that I have been reading in July, and spoiler alert, we did really badly. And Reginald, the reading rhinoceros, is very disappointed in us, Arnold. So we need to up our game in August, because we did not do well. So let's look at the books that we did read. So the first book that I read was Jonah and the Very Big Fish by Tim Thornborough and Jennifer Davison, and this is obviously super short, the story of Jonah and the whale. And I just love this whole series. These were really kindly given to me by the Good Book Company, and this whole series just goes through different Bible stories in a really fun and creative way. There's lots of, what is it in this one? In this one it's like, what's that word? Synonyms. Synonyms is what I mean. So it's like, they were nasty, horrible, wicked, cruel, and it kind of does different words like that over and over again. And the different books do different things. Some of them are really like onomatopoeia and all that noises, some of them do counting, and this one does synonyms, which is really fun. But it just explains it so well, and rather than just like stopping when Jonah leaves the whale's mouth like these kind of stories normally do, it actually goes on and kind of follows him as he does go to Nineveh. And I really like that it does just like tell the whole story and not just stop at like the easy and fun bit. So that was a 4 stars. The next book that I read was Away with the Penguins by Hazel Pryor, and I gave this 4 stars. If you watched last month's video, you'll know this wasn't actually on my July TBR, this was on my June TBR, but I ended up not finishing it that month, so I figured I would swap out the prompt of animal on the cover for this one, because there are, of course, penguins on the cover. And this book was interesting. Like, I liked a lot of different elements of it, but there were also lots of bits that I found a bit weird. I don't know, I didn't love where it went all of the time. I felt like there were lots of different strands, and I enjoyed different bits of the strands, but they didn't all kind of give enough. And some of them you wanted a bit more, some of them you wanted a bit less. I don't know, it was a bit confusing. And I didn't particularly love the way like religion and Christianity was used in this as just like a very easy villain in a way. Like, obviously there are some really awful, and have been some really awful Christians in the past that have done the things that are in this book, and that's not a lie, but the way it was written was very lazy. Like, there was no kind of character to these people other than, oh, they're religious so they're bad. Which, yeah, I just find very lazy character writing. The next book that I read that the Penguins chose for me was Elevator Pitch by Linwood Barclay, and this ended up being a 3-star, which was a bit disappointing because I really expected this to be like a 5-star. I thought this one was going to be really, really good, and it actually just wasn't one of my favourite of his books. I much preferred kind of the Broken Promise book that I read before. And again, there were just lots and lots of different strands of this, and I like multiple perspectives in a book, but the way these different strands kind of all came together, there were just so many different things that it was quite difficult to kind of keep track of it in your mind. Some of them you like, some of them you don't like, some of them you're just like, why are we following this at the moment? Doesn't really seem relevant. It kind of lost the urgency that you kind of want in this kind of thriller mystery. You want it to kind of keep going, whereas sometimes the different perspectives kind of slowed it down and made it seem a bit slow and draggy. But the concept was really interesting. Definitely don't want to get in an elevator anytime too soon, to be honest. And I'll still happily read more of Linwood Barclay's books because I've enjoyed so many of them before, so just fine. And then the book that I'm currently reading is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. And I'm not very far into this, but I have a whole week left of the month. By the time that I'm filming this, you're seeing this at the end of the month. So hopefully by the time you're seeing this, I have finished this book. You'd hope so, but I've been very, very slow at reading this month, so we'll see. So as you can see, considering we had 8 books on this TBR, and I've read 3, it hasn't gone super well. It's definitely a fail, a big fail. So that does mean we are going to have to take a punishment. Again, I have so far not actually managed to read and complete my TBR once since we bumped up to 7, so we might have to consider taking it back down again at some point. But for now, we'll keep going. We'll see if August can be the month that I do manage it, because there's less on in the evenings because it's the holidays, maybe? Who knows? The heat is not making me want to read at the moment, to be honest. I'm just like a puddle of goo, and my brain is a puddle of goo and it cannot think. So I blame the heat, as I have been blaming it for everything. But we're going to choose 8 books, and then at least I have 8 books to choose from for August, so we'll see how that works. I have updated the game slightly this month because previously the yellow pieces of paper in my penguin jar have been Arnold's 21 in 2021 challenge prompts, but I have finished that challenge, so that is complete. I don't need to finish that challenge anymore, which is great. So I have changed up what is in the jar. So the red pieces of paper are still like a TBR jar, so these all have individual books that I haven't read on them. And then the yellow pieces of paper are now prompts, and the orange pieces of paper are challenges. So the way I'm kind of differentiating between those two, there's a bit of overlap, but basically a challenge is a way that the game chooses a book for me. So it could be that my pets pick a book, or it could be that it has to be the highest rated or lowest rated book on my Goodreads TBR, something like that, where it chooses one specific book for me. Whereas yellow pieces of paper are a prompt where I have to fit a book of my choice to that prompt. So there's a slight difference, and I think that will just make it quite fun. So I've added some new ones, I've added some of the ones that you guys suggested last month. If you have any ideas for prompts or challenges that I should add to this, then let me know down in the comments and I will add them in. But let's get started with playing the game. So we are starting over here where we finished off last month, and for our first roll we have 2. Orange, so we have our challenge to start with. Yellow, there's an orange. Most recently acquired, okay. So my most recently acquired book is actually an audiobook from NetGalley. So this is Not a Happy Family by Shari Lapina, and this is a thriller about an older couple who are murdered and their 3 kids who are going to kind of like get their inheritance. And I think it's probably something along the lines of, did the children kill the parents for the inheritance? Who knows? But it sounds interesting, and it's an audiobook, so that is a great start to this. Very helpful, thank you. Roll number 2. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another challenge. Random letter author. Okay, so for this one we have our random letter generator all set up. We'll pick a random letter, and then that will be the first letter of the surname, and then we choose an author based on that. Okay, so generate random letter. X. Thank you for that. Do we have anything beginning with X? I really doubt it. Nope, I cannot see anything, surprise surprise, so we will generate another random letter. R. R should be easier. Let's see what we can do with R. Okay, so this is a good one. We have The Yellow Bird Sings by Jennifer Rosner, which was actually on my July TBR, but obviously I didn't get around to reading it, so it's back on, and I still really want to read it, so this is great. This is a historical fiction set in 1941 in Poland, and there is a mum and her daughter who is a child music prodigy, and they are trying to hide from the Nazis, and it kind of follows their story. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. Roll number 3. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rockhopper penguin. Okay, so Rockhopper penguin means that I need to pick a literary fiction book, and I think literary is very much like argued genre. So I'm just going to go on Storygraph and filter my TBR by literary and then see if there are any that come up that are called literary by the Storygraph, or any on my spreadsheet that I've called literary, and that counts. Okay, so for this one I'm going to be reading Keeper of the Light by Diane Chamberlain, and this is listed as literary fiction, so it's fine. I have this as an ebook on my phone, and all I really know about this book is that there is a doctor and she's trying to save this patient with a gunshot injury, and then she realises that this woman is a woman that her husband is in love with. And then I think it follows kind of the doctor woman, her husband who was in love with this woman who's now passed away, and that woman's husband as well. I think kind of follows their story after she dies. Other than that, don't really know what it's about, but I really like Diane Chamberlain's writing, so I'm really interested to read this. Book number 4 is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Humboldt penguin. Okay, we're going on a little tour of the penguins, which is beautiful, and a Humboldt penguins means we have to choose a contemporary book. So let's have a look. Okay, so for my contemporary book I'm going to choose The Travelling Cat Chronicles, which was also on last month's TBR, but I swapped it out for Away with the Penguins. So this is about a cat and his owner who are on a bit of a road trip, and I believe at the beginning we don't really know why and we're kind of figuring it out, but some of the book is from the cat's perspective, which I think just sounds really fun. I know this book is incredibly sad and I'm scared, but I want to read that cat sarcasm, to be honest, so this will be really fun. Book number 5. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm back on orange. Hashtag Bookstagram. Okay, so we've got the phone again for this prompt, and I've just put in Instagram, hashtag Bookstagram, and we're going to search and just flick through that until I see a book that I have or have access to, and we will read that. So hopefully something comes up that I actually have. Okay, She Who Became the Sun. I have that on NetGalley, so I can read that. That's fun, I'll do that. Okay, so She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan is a kind of historical fantasy book, as far as I'm aware. I think it's a kind of reimagining of the start of the Ding Dynasty. Ding Dynasty? No, Ming Dynasty. I think it's a kind of reimagining of the Ming Dynasty in China. And I don't know much about that period of history, so I think this would be really interesting to see it kind of reimagined, and I'll probably do a bit of research into it first, so I know what actually happened versus the kind of fantastical version of the book. But I think it'll be really interesting. Okay, book number 6, I think? 3. 1, 2, 3. African Penguin. So we're back on African Penguin, and this means we need to choose a mystery or a thriller. And this is perfect because I really want to carry on the Broken Promise series by Linwood Barclay, and the next book in that series is Far From True. And I think the way this series works is they're kind of standalone books, but there's a kind of plot weaved throughout, so there will be a mystery kind of in each book that's kind of solved, but there's strands that were started in the first book that were never kind of really explained or went anywhere, so I'm assuming they're going to come back again in this book. So I'm really interested to see how that works. Book number 7. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another orange. Apparently we're just getting orange and green today. Random letter title. We'll have both of the random letters today. Okay, so back to our random letter generator, but this time whatever letter needs to be the beginning of the title rather than the author. Will be the title. F. F. Okay, let's see what we can find. Okay, for this I have another audiobook which is really good, and it's called The Fear by C.L. Taylor. And this is available on Libby, which is perfect. But I cannot remember what it's about, so I'm gonna look it up first so I can tell you. Okay, there's like no information on Goodreads or the Storygraph. Have I made this book up? I found it on Libby, so I didn't think I made it up, but we shall see if I can find it. Okay, so this is on Libby. I don't know why it's not on the Storygraph or Goodreads, so I'm confused. Maybe it's got a different name somewhere else. But it sounds kind of very similar to My Dark Vanessa. So it's about a girl who ran away with her teacher to France when she was a student, and is kind of looking back at that, knowing that this teacher is now involved with another student. So I think it'll be looking at that whole situation and kind of trying to bring him to justice. So that sounds really interesting, and again, that's an audiobook, so that'll be really great to listen to. Okay, and book number 8, I believe. 2. 1, 2. It's Arnold Joyce! Arnold! So we kind of decided last time that this can mean that Arnold gets to choose a book, which basically means we choose the book together. So it can be absolutely anything. The more penguins we can fit into it, the better, obviously. But what kind of book do you want to read, Arnold? This is the question. This is the question. Do we want to go easy on ourselves? Probably. Should we be really nice to ourselves? I think we're going to be super, super nice to ourselves and choose Deborah and the Very Big Battle. This is from the same series as the Jonah book that we read in July. Again, very kindly gifted to me by the Good Book Company who published these books. And they're just so beautiful. And I've never seen like a children's Bible storybook about Deborah's story. It's not a story I know super well, definitely isn't a story I knew as a child. So I love that they have done this story. I'm super excited to read it. I think this is one of the last ones on my actual TBR to read. I think I've read all of them after this one. So that's really fun. And a good choice to end on, Arnold. Thank you very much. And now to see if I can remember all of the books that we are reading this month. We have Deborah and the Very Big Battle by Tim Thornborough and Jennifer Davison. We have The Yellow Bird Sings by Jennifer Rosner. The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa. And Far From True by Linwood Barclay. Those are our physical books. And apart from that, we have The Fear by C.L. Taylor. We have Not a Happy Family by Shari Lapina. Those are the 2 audiobooks. Then we have Keeper of the Light by Diane Chamberlain. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Did I choose another one? Or have I miscounted? Eesh. It's very cool. No. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker-Chan is number 8. I can count. All is good in the world. So those are the books that I'll be reading in August. So it's quite a list, but we've got some small ones, we've got some audiobooks, so I think it's going to be potentially manageable, hopefully. Hopefully. We'll see. I'll let you know next month, so make sure you're subscribed to see next month's video and see if I got through all of these books. If you want to hear more about the books that I read last month and some of the others that weren't on the TBR, because I did read one extra book that wasn't on the TBR, I will link down below a link to our blog post which we do each month, where we keep all of our reviews and ratings and thoughts and reflections about all of the books that we've read each month. And if you want to be kind of alerted when that blog is ready, then there is an email list down below, and that blog post is always on that email. As always, all of the books that I've mentioned, whether I'm reading them in August or read them in July, they will all be linked down in the description below, so do check them out if any of them sound interesting to you. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from me and Arnold. We create videos every Saturday about prayer, about exploring the Bible, and about living out your faith. So we will see you next Saturday for a new video. Bye!